Welcome to the Business Behind the Scene podcast with Francesca Moi, where we talk all about real business problems, real solutions, and getting actual results in your business.
Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Francesca Moi from Empowering Virtual Solution based in beautiful Brisbane here in Australia. Thanks for your time today, Francesca.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. Someone on your team reached out a few months ago, thought you'd be a great guest to come on. I've had a look at your website and it's something I'm very passionate about, leveraging people outside of, Australia. And I'm really looking forward to this chat today.
I love that you reached out, like that it worked out, and I'm very grateful to be here.
Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Well, this business actually has been an incredible, it just happened. I didn't know that it was a business. So I started hiring VAs for an old business that I had in 15 years ago. And then people were asking me, how did I do it? And so we started, and then it evolved into what it is now. So we help clients, business owners get a virtual assistant from the Philippines. We train the VAs, we match them with personalities. So we do it very thoroughly, and we only have 75 clients at the moment. So it's quite small, and we like to get to know all the clients and all the VAs. So yeah, that's how we make money.
That's great. I'm a big advocate, as I've said a few times on the cast, about using an offshore team. I've got 3 team members in the Philippines, 1 in Pakistan, and they're all just terrific, great work ethic. As we're talking before we hit record, 83% of the population in the Philippines, I think it's about 110 million people, but 83% of the populations are Catholic. So like me, ex-altar boy, Catholic altar boy, got a lot of guilt, Catholic guilt, and very loyal, hardworking people. And smart.
Yes, absolutely. I love them. And at the moment, I've got 5 of them here in Australia because we have a conference coming up, and they're always so loyal. They love to come here, and they cook with my mom, and it's just such a beautiful culture. Absolutely.
Yeah, great people. And so your business model, effectively your team is employed by you, and then you on bill to your clients for whatever time they use.
Yes. So we have on our payroll, we have at the moment 65 virtual assistants plus 11 on my team. And yeah, it's been like incredible to be able to put together the business owner that is busy and running the show. And sometimes they have local team members, and the team members are drowning because they're like, oh, and do this as well, and do this as well, and do this as well. And we actually say that, like, don't drown, don't let your team drown, and let's find a way that we can support all of you by doing all the mundane task, the repetitive task offshore, and then your team here can actually do the things that move the needles that can actually get business, right?
Yeah, and maybe tell the audience where any industries you work with, is it just Australia, and what kind of services do your VAs help with?
We have mostly clients in Australia. We have a couple of clients in Europe and US, but our target is Australia. We actually, funnily enough, when I first started, everybody was like, you need to niche. And I'm like, I know, but I like to help everybody. And it's just such a difficult thing to choose. So organically, we've gone towards service-based businesses. So, physiotherapists or e-commerce or e-commerce are more of a product and NDIS providers. We have a lot of those, but we also have real estate agents, and so anything that's sort of like more services or e-commerce.
Yep, great. And how do they mainly help? Is it as broad as, they help with marketing, for example?
Yes. So we have all range. So we have admin and customer service VAs and social media marketing VAs. And then if people want more experts, we also have an elite package that gives them an EA that literally run the shows for them, or they can have like a marketing manager or a project manager. So it depends on what they're looking for. So we're expanding into getting more of those. A lot of people say, I don't care about the money. I just want someone that can run the show without me having to micromanage them. And to be honest, none of our VAs are micromanaged, but we also have the difference between us and other agencies that we have a supervisor to supervise the VAs as well. And the supervisors have been with me between 5 to 8 years. So they know how a small business run, and how, when you have reached the 7 figures is not over. There is actually so many more bottlenecks that happen for the business to grow. And we really need to work as a team to find those and to keep working on projects to be able to move forward. Instead, when we don't have the help, what we get stuck in the day-to-day, and we are in a treadmill, and really nothing changes. Everything stays steady, or sometimes even go down, right?
Yep. How did you start out?
Well, I started in 2013. I was working in Coles at head office, and I was just a normal 9 to 5, and wasn't enjoying it. And then break up with my ex, and I left, and I went back to Italy, and I started to study um, life coaching, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And when I came back to Australia, I thought I was going to be the first coach in Australia,
Yeah.
which I wasn't.
Yeah.
9 months later, I made $120. I had only one client, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to corporate. This is not working. And I thought, you know what? I need to give it one more go. So I started a meetup. Funny enough, because you're telling me about you running meetups.
Yep.
I started a meetup group, and all of a sudden, I'm fully booked with clients. And then what happened is that in Brisbane, all of a sudden everybody knew about Francesca Moi, and she's a life coach. And so then they were asking me, other coaches, they were asking me, what did you do? How did you go from nobody knew you, now everybody knows you? I was like, oh, I just run a meetup group. I got a Facebook group, and that's it. So I created the Mafia Academy,
Hmm.
Meetup and Facebook International Academy.
Yep.
So I was teaching coaches how to grow the business using Meetup and Facebook groups. And that academy, in 3.5 years, it was a $1.5 million business.
Well done.
Thank you. I was doing national tours. It was working. Everything was good. And then COVID happened. And so part of the academy is that we will give marketing strategies, and then we'll train VAs to do the strategy for our clients. So it was already a wing of the business. And so when COVID happened, people started to request about the VA, but not the training and the academy. So we're like, all right, then we got to be open-minded. We got to, restructure, and the big word pivot to be able to survive. And so we had to restructure everything, and we created the agency, and in 11 months later, we reached $1 million.
Well done. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. But you know what I learned is that once you know how to do it once, you can rinse and repeat. It's the same process, it's the same thing for any business. And that is very good to know. So whoever's listening, don't worry. If this business won't work out, you can do the next one. You already know what you need to know.
Absolutely. And for our international audience, Coles is one of the two main duopoly supermarket chains here in Australia. They're massive.
Yes, yes. And you know, it was funny. I was working as an EA to one of the general managers, and I was finishing the work in like 4 hours, 3 hours, and I was like, "What? Give me more, give me more." And she was like, "We need to talk." And she told me that I was too fast, and I was making her look bad with the head office, and I had to be slower because if not, they would take me away from her. And I was like, "Okay, this is fascinating." Oh. So there was no place to grow, and I didn't like that because
No.
growth is one of my biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had two people on, actually, ironically, from Perth with virtual assistant businesses, Nikki Chamberlain and Kat. I'll send through those episodes to you as well.
Yes, please.
So what year did you start the business, and how old were you?
This business was literally 3 years ago. 38, I was 39, 38.
So 2022, 38. Fantastic. And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over those 3 years? You've said it's taken 11 months to get to over $1 million top line. What about number of full-time equivalent team members you started with and where you're at now?
Yeah. So when I started, it was just me, right? And well, I was very lucky because I had a business before. All my VAs, I didn't let go of anybody. So I still have my group of 6 VAs that were super loyal to me for 8 years. So they stayed with us, and we started the agency. And then I've got one person here in Australia as a contractor, about 15 hours a week to help me with handling clients. But I was the salesperson. So I was going out there networking, do all the things I need to do to bring clients in, and then pass them on to this lady. And my obviously team of VAs became the supervisors of the new VAs that we were recruiting. And so that started, and then very fast. So I had very clear goals. And that's one of the things that I've learned in business is like, if we don't know where we're going, we're not going to be able to get there. So I put myself very strict goals. I was like, okay, I need to go to 20 in the next 3 months, and then I need to go to 30 and clients. And I was basing on clients rather than number of money, because that would drive me more into like going and meet people. And then I knew that if I get to 30, that will equal this amount of dollars. So when I got to 50 clients, that was my reaching on the $1 million. And what happened there, Troy, is that in that year that I reached the 50, I got stuck there. So I reached the point that we were getting good momentum and good clients in, but we also started to lose. The churn was a little bit higher than I wanted. And so the people that will stay with us and then they will drop out, and they will stay with us and then drop out. And everybody will drop out. They usually used to say money. They loved the VA, but they couldn't stay because of money, and they had to, slow down. The business was not working very well, so they had to wait. And so we worked out throughout that period that we needed to target bigger businesses because so that they didn't have such a fluctuation of the cash flow. And so it took me a year to sort of restructure my messaging and everything that we did. And then once we figured that out, it went from 50 to 75 in literally 3 months.
Wow. In 3 months.
Yeah. So we're stuck at 50 for a full year. And then in 3 months, we got to 75. And then, the business happens, and then you make decision in business that sometimes you regret. And then what I did then is that I hire a salesperson thinking, okay, now all I need to do. And by the way, in that period that I was stuck at 50, I hire a customer service full-time manager here in Australia. So it was me and her, and she was helping me to try to not have as much of a churn. So while she worked that out in that year, plus I also changed the target market. That's when we went from 50 to 74 because we were not losing as many clients. And we also were bringing in a lot more clients. But then what happened? I was like, okay, next step of the puzzle is for me to get out of the business is to hire a salesperson. So I hired a salesperson in November, and then it didn't work out. And so, business mistakes that we make. But if you don't try, you're never going to know. And so what happened is that we've gone down a little bit. So we are at 65 at the moment. So we've gone down on number, but we're building back up. So we are sitting on the 1.5 million at the moment. We were looking to get to probably 1.8, but I don't know we're going to quite get there this year.
Yep. And what about number of full-time equivalent team members you've got at the moment?
So 1 here in Australia and 11 in the Philippines.
Yep. So
for my business, plus 65 for the clients.
And are they all full-time, the 65?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So effectively you've got, let me do the math. I forgot to have a coffee this morning. 11, 13 plus 65.
Yeah.
78. Wow. That's amazing.
78 in our books.
Yep. Well done.
But because some clients are getting 2 VAs, 1 part-time, so 1 VA works for 2 as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it's intense, but we're getting there.
Well, you've done the right thing. You learned that the smaller, really micro businesses maybe don't have the budget. You've moved up the size a little bit, but you also did the important work that is so powerful around positioning and then your messaging and changing that. So, and obviously that's worked.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the thing, right? Sometimes I was a bit stubborn, right? It took me a year for me to be like, okay, I was like, it's working, like we're getting people. And my coach was like, it was foreseeing. It's like, you're going to get stuck eventually. I'm like, no, it will be fine. But when you start to get bigger numbers, obviously then you're going to start to have the problems are bigger. So we always lost 1 or 2 clients a month. But when we got to 50, we started to lose 5 or 6 clients a month. So I was like, what happened? What is going on? So obviously the number game. So
yeah,
good learning experience.
When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
Well, this is a very good point because in my previous business, my biggest goal was like $1 million. I need to get there. When I get there, I will be successful. I was so keen. When I got there, I was burnt out, exhausted, alone. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. What happened? So I thought the success was $1 million. Then when COVID happened and I restructured everything, I realized that success was having a successful business that brings you a wage that you're happy with, right? And some profit that you're happy with while you work less.
Yep.
No. And so for me, am I successful? I don't know. I'm not sure because I would like, for me, the vision of success now is be able to earn what I'm earning, maybe even a little bit more, have a little bit more profit in the business. At the moment, we're in growth phase. So we're putting back all the profit into growth, into growing the business, into ads, into figuring out, this conference that's coming up is taking a lot of our cash and things like that. So there's not as much profit as I would like at the moment. And I'm working about, at one point I was working 24 hours a week. I was happy with that. I'm back working more hours now. So I want to go back to 24 hours. So am I successful? You mean I can't complain. I can't say I'm going bad. But to me, success is working less and making more.
So that answers the next question. What success looks like to you?
Yes.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Look, the number one thing that I recommend is to do some research on what's working in the industry. So one of the things that I love, I'm part of this group that is called Entrepreneurs Organization. And I'm so lucky because in there I get to meet other businesses, and there is three businesses that are my competitors, if you want. But the generosity of the group is that there's no such a thing as competition. We can all help each other. So I've got one mentor in this group that literally got the same business as me, but he helps me. So he tells me things, and he helped me succeed. So he tells me, because he's in front of me, so he's got double the business that I have. And he said, Francesca, I tried ads for 6 months and it didn't work for us. So I don't recommend you that. And I'll do more of this and more of that. So I love that. I love that I'm able to tap into a person that is walk my path and can tell me, directed me where I should focus on and what should I do. His biggest thing that is done that I want to improve in my business is that they've got a very structured sales process. He's got salespeople in the Philippines completely doing cold calling and selling. And I have never worked that out. And sales at the moment in my business are all reliant on me, which is not very good because I want to get out of the business, right? So that's one of the things that I would say for someone that it wants to grow is like create a structure that for bringing in leads that doesn't rely on you.
Have you read Alex Hormozi's two books, $100 million Offers and Leads?
I only read the $1 million offer.
The offer, yeah. Leads
Yeah.
will help you with that, and also listening to his almost daily podcast. But also,
Oh, yes.
have you listened to April Dunford's two books?
No.
I'll send them through to you. The first one she wrote is called Obviously Awesome, and it's all about positioning. Now, you've already done most of that work, but the second book I think would be quite relevant for you, which is called, amazingly, she couldn't believe the title was still available, but the book's called Sales Pitch. And so she's written, once you've done your positioning, this is then how to structure your sales pitch. So I'll send that through. It's a great resource, comes with a 12-page canvas to help you with both books.
Fantastic. Send it to me. I love books.
And there's two other books you may not have read called, one's The Challenger Sale, which was about 13, 14 years ago. I'll send you that. And The Jolt Effect, which thanks to COVID, as you know, all sales meetings went online. So they were able to get 2.5 million sales Zoom online meetings that were recorded, put it into machine learning because their thesis was they want to understand why people say no. Everyone thinks they're just going to stay with the status quo. And that, I think it was like 44% of the time, that's the reason why. But
Wow.
56% of the time, it's what the author, they don't say it in the book because it's kid friendly, but they've said it on the podcast, on some of the podcasts I've heard them on, one with April Dunford, but FOFU, so fear of fucking up. So the person that is tasked with making the decision, a big purchase decision, they back out and they say, we'll just keep doing it the way we were because I don't want to put my name to this in case it fucks up.
Yeah. I love it. Send it to me, please.
I will. How did you fund your business?
That is a very good question. So obviously, look, one of the things that I'm gonna say it out there, I'm most proud of is that during COVID, so obviously my first business was it grew so slow, like 3.5 years to get to million. So it was funded by me selling, right? I actually for the first business there, I did something called NDI, is it in the NICE program
Yes.
in Australia. They pay you about $300 a week to go and do study business. And so I did that. And that literally what was funding my business. Like I would spend only that per week to survive. And everything else was like, oh, I made $100 here in the business. Like literally how I funded the first business. My dad, when I was I think about 18 months into a business, I wanted to hire a big office. And so he borrowed the deposit to me. So my dad was my funder in that case. And then for this business, what has been really good is that I was able to, as I was shutting down the academy, I still had clients obviously paying. So I was delivering to the clients and getting obviously the payment, but I was not selling anymore. And we started to sell here. So I literally went from like $120,000 a month and then zero. And then I started to go, 10,000, 110,
Yeah.
like that. And then eventually, so I never had to stop myself from a wage. I never stopped my team from a wage. Like we just were able to just go from that and sort of like go the other way around. And now Empowering Events is making $0 and this one is up to 140 a month.
Yeah, that's great. And that NICE program you referenced, I actually looked that up the other day for someone and they stopped it a year or so ago, but I thought it was a genius move. It's been going for a few decades. And
They
for the
stopped it.
Yeah, and for the audience, that effectively here in Australia, if you want to start a business, it's like unemployment benefits, but it's funding a potential entrepreneur or business owner just to research, do some workshops. So they're getting that $300 a week to help them live while
Yeah.
they're starting their business. I thought it was a genius scheme.
It was fantastic. I loved it. And it truly did help me because if not, I would have to, that $300, I would have to go and work. And then obviously would be less time in my business and all that. So it was good. But to be honest, they probably stopped because a lot of the people that I knew from there, they actually didn't follow through
Yeah.
with it. So there was very little success stories, I think, from it.
Yeah, of which you are one of them.
Yes, absolutely.
You think you'll have a renewed focus to get more clients in Europe?
um, Clients in Europe.
Mm,
Look, the reason why we don't go much outside of Australia is because we want to respect our VAs as well. So if they work for Europe or US, they have to work night shift, and
mm,
night shift is
I'm
not
done.
sustainable long term. And so we want to make sure that the reason why they come to us is because they probably have worked in the US for a while, they've been out, they're
Yeah.
tired. And so they're coming to us, and it's just 2 hours behind, and it works. We have some VAs that are keen to do that because obviously they earn more money because they pay different rates.
Mm.
But I'm not a fan of it. No.
Well, you might be able to find other countries that are a better time zone fit.
Yes. Singapore.
Yeah,
Apparently, we got a few clients, a few of my competitors. They are working on that on New Zealand and other countries as well. Yeah.
yeah. Where I'm going with that is the government export market development grant. Have you seen that?
Yes, yes. We had that a couple of years ago. We have got that 2 years in a row. And then I decided to stop for a little while because I don't want the VAs to burn out. So we did it. We spent quite a bit of money. And it was a great grant. I actually loved it.
Yeah. And I'd
Yeah.
forgotten, but someone reminded me a few years ago on the podcast that you can actually, it's not just for physical exporting of goods, it's also services as well. So she was using it, I think the $80,000 a year tier at that point, which you got to match it, but most of that money was going into Facebook ads to target
Yes.
the US. Mm.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. And this is why I also then stopped it because I wasn't getting enough business from it.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, we don't want to continue a grant if it's not working.
If you were to start up to have plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Um, what do you mean? Tell me more.
So if you won the lottery and tens of millions of dollars,
Yes.
and you wanted to start a business, is this the one you'd start?
Oh, that's a very good question. If I win the lottery, would I stay in this industry? Look, one of the things that you always think when you're in business is the grass is always greener on the other side, right? So we're looking at, like, I've got a friend of mine who's got an incredible business. They style properties, and I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic business. I will go into that. But then when you look from the inside, I'm very close friend with them. They've got their own problems. So every business has got a problem. So I go to this industry again? Yes, I think I love what I do. I love be able to help VAs in the Philippines. I love to be able to help clients thrive. So I do love that. But I will also have multiple stream of income. So I will actually have. I love properties. I have 2 properties. We're buying the third one right now at the moment. So I would invest more in properties, and I would have also maybe an e-commerce or another business like that, and maybe a like a electrician business or like an actual steady business. So I will divide my spread just to make sure that COVID taught me that. COVID, I was relying just on one business. COVID happened, no more events, no more business. So what do you do?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone saying on a podcast the other day, the grass may be greener on the other side, but you just can't see all the shit underneath that's fertilized that greener grass because every industry has its problems.
Yes, every business has got a problem, right? And it's really important to understand that. We always think, oh, I just want these people that tell me, oh, I just want a passive income business. I'm like, it doesn't exist. There's no such a thing, a passive income. Like, let's stop BSing people on social media and then be like, get a passive. There's nothing passive. Like, even a house is not passive because you have to maintain it. You have to pay for the expenses. You have to do things. You can't just passive income. I don't believe in that.
That's right. I want to touch on this point, which I think you'll be as passionate about as I am, which I get some pushback sometimes about my offshore team. that we're taking advantage of them, but it's actually the opposite because they're getting paid more than what they would elsewhere. My team, for example, works from home. I'm not sure if yours does.
Yes, they all work from home.
And that's great because I had John Jonas on the podcast, as I mentioned before we hit record, who's the founder of onlinejobs.ph, which is the like Seek here in Australia, the main job board for the Philippines. And we had a really good discussion around all that, saying how, and he made a great point that, you know, one of my first team members, she's in Manila. So her husband, who unfortunately passed away, he would have to travel to work for 2 hours and then 2 hours back. So 4 hours a day by allowing them to be able to work from home. And so what would happen is the grandparents would raise the kids, whereas now the parents are working from home, don't have to commute, and they're actually, you know, building a better relationship with their kids because they're spending a lot more time. And there's a heap of benefits apart from getting paid much better.
Absolutely. And like I just went to the Philippines in March because usually I get them a ticket here so that they can see Australia. But this year I was like, I'm going to come and visit because there's so many of the other 65 years as well. I want to meet them. So we went to see them, and literally like our VAs, they got a brand new car. And literally the other day, I've got 5 of them here. The 2 of them are getting a brand new car. I'm like, okay, you guys are richer than me in Australia. So obviously like it's actually the opposite. So there's 2 things that people tell us all the time. Oh, by going offshore, you're not supporting Australia. I think it's the opposite. I would have never be able to hire 7 people in Australia back in 2019 if I didn't have VAs helping me to grow the business in the first few years. So number 1 is that, like, let's be honest, right? When you hire someone in Australia, you have to pay tax, you have to pay super. It's really expensive wages. It's hard for a small business to be able to do that. But if you hire someone in the Philippines, you give someone opportunity over there, you pay them really well for their wages, and they can help you scale the business so that we can hire here in Australia. And also, like, I pay taxes. So even if my business is not contributing to giving jobs, I'm paying taxes. I'm actually giving jobs by printing things, by doing conference and expos and things that I'm doing here in Australia. So I'm still contributing to the country massively. I'm buying houses. I'm doing renovations. So we're doing a lot. We're contributing a lot to the economy, just in a different way. And if I didn't hire in the Philippines, I wouldn't have none of that. Yeah. So I wouldn't add any value.
I've got a great client on the Gold Coast, not too far away from you. Probably started working together 3 years ago, 2 founders and a part-timer here in Australia. And I encouraged them to look at some of the team being offshore for more of that procedural work, which they did. They embraced. They're now 15 team members. About half of those are in the Philippines. Wow. And in July next month, they will be flying everyone. 2 of their Australians actually live in South Korea, and the rest are in Australia. And then they're 7, I think, in the Philippines. They're all flying to Bali for the first time to meet in person. And
that is fantastic. I love that. I absolutely love that. And this is the thing, right? You give opportunity. When we went to in March, we went to the Philippines, my partner and I, and we did like a bonding retreat with all our team, 11 of them. It was fantastic. Some of them never left their own town and never been to Boracay, and it's an island there. So I was like, all right, we'll pay for it. And it's beautiful to be able to give opportunity to people from different places. And I'm passionate about that because I'm Italian. And when I first started my first business, all my Italian friends were like, what are you doing? You don't have a university degree. What are you doing? You're scamming people. I was like, I'm not scamming people. You're a friend. What are you talking
about? I've never met a passionate Italian. I've got quite a few Italian friends, yes, and they are very forthright and passionate, that's for sure.
Yes, I know, right?
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Troy, I just did a talk in an event called the Fuck Up Nights.
I love it.
And they were like, do you have any fuck up to share? I'm like, how many hours do you have? Look, I've got plenty, Troy. And the biggest mistake, if you want to call it a mistake, is that, like, the moment it was the most stressful moment in my whole business, it was when COVID happened, and I had to let go of the academy, but I was terrified. I was terrified because, let's be honest, right? That academy was creating a really good lifestyle for me. I had a full-time chef. I had, a brand new car. Like, I was excited about the financial position that I was in. I just bought 2 houses. I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay these mortgages? I was freaking out. And I was getting really tense and really attached to this academy, even though everything was telling me that I had to shut it down. So I think that that was the most stressful moment in my entire life. Like I would never forget. I was walking my dog and I was thinking, I might have to go bankrupt. Like that is literally, I don't know what to do. And I was avoiding that thought because I was sort of afraid of the word bankrupt. That day I was like, you know what? Bring it on. What if I actually go bankrupt? What would happen?
Mm.
And then as I thought about it, I was like, this is just my brain being dramatic. Like bankrupt is like we're not even close to that. Like worst case scenario right here, the actual worst case scenario would be fire everybody and get a job.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to go bankrupt. Like I'm not in debt with anybody. Like I'm good. Like why is my brain how do you say catastrophizing?
Catastrophizing, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that word. I was like, why my brain is making a big deal about this? So the moment that I accepted that there was a solution that I could just shut down business now, fire everybody, which I didn't want to do, but that was the worst case scenario. That bankruptcy was just a story. It was not even close to that. That's the moment that I was like able to change the stress into motivation and be like, all right, what if I don't fire everybody? What else can I do? What else can I learn from it? What if I do close this? What else can I do? And that's when I was able to then allow ideas in, and I was able to then go, people are still asking me questions, but they're asking me only about the VA. They're not asking me about the marketing. So why don't I focus on that? And that's when I was able to do that. When I did that, then it wasn't all easy, Troy.
All right.
So there was a lot of stressful times. There was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of things, but I've always have one thing. Actually, I don't have it right here with me, but I usually have a piece of paper in front of me that it says, I'm in demand. And it's my mantra. And I created a mantra in that moment. I was like, I'm not gonna let this stress eating me. I'm not gonna go with that. I'm gonna believe that we are in demand and we're gonna do this and it's gonna happen. And Troy, we are in another moment that is stressful. I'm gonna really be very open here because I don't want people to think, oh, once you get to 1 million, it's easy. No, like I made another mistake, just then. Like I hire someone thinking that we were in a position that I could do that. I make a couple of mistakes. I probably should have been more hands-on. I just assumed that a BDM know what they're doing. They had experience in a similar position. I'm like, you just know what you're doing. I just coach a little bit and then that's it. And I watched the business going again. And I was like, holy guacamole. So I am literally right now back into hustle mode. I'm like, all right, I need to get 50 new clients. Let's go. Let's do it. And the universe always provides. We are in demand again. Things are happening again. So I deeply believe that everything happened for me. Everything happened for a reason. I have got this. It's gonna be fine. And that's something important that if anybody's listening, just keep having those mantra in your brain will help you to go through a stressful moment because they're always going to be there. It's impossible to have a business with no stress, right?
Yep. What kind of dog do you have? I've got a 12-year-old chocolate Labrador Carlton supporter.
I've got a spoodle.
Oh, a spoodle, right. They don't shed.
They don't shed.
Oh, they're the good ones.
And it's cute.
Yeah. What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Oh, to have the greatest value. Well, the most because I'm the worst at it is leadership. Because I'm like, fast, let's go, do it now.
Yeah.
Do it yesterday. So that's the biggest thing. But to be honest, is to add the greatest value because by burning out all my people, there's no people, there's no business. So I had to really, and I'm still learning, Troy, is I've got the customer service manager that I've just promoted her to business manager because I've saw what she's doing with her team. And I said, you need to do this with every department because that's not my strength. And this is the thing that I've been learning leadership and I love leadership, but let's be honest, that's not my strength. And that's something that I'm always going to be, especially when things go stressful, I go back to my old habits, like fast now, I've got an idea. Let's do it. We need to get right. And so everybody is like, structure, we need structure. So I'm not very good at giving structure, instructions in a way that are structured, but I'm good at telling one person that understand me and explain, and I'm very good at that. So sometimes I also am a big believer of working on your strength and admitting when you're not good at. Because I tell my team, you have to put your hand up if you make a mistake. You're not going to be in trouble, but at least we understand where to fix it in the process. But if I'm not doing that, if now I'm not putting my hand up and say, guys, I know that I'm not good at this, help me. If I don't do that, I'm not going to be a good example to my team.
Yep.
So I try to really be open with my flaws and with my strength, and tell them, like, let's embrace my strength. My strength is I can drive this business. I can drive sales. I can lead. I can be the positive one. I can, take risk. I can do that. I need someone to do the action and implementation of all my ideas, or take my idea, park it, but then bring it back. Don't forget it, because my idea works, right?
Yeah, that's very smart to play to your strengths, not your weaknesses. I heard a great story in a book, I think, last year where, through the 70s and early 80s, I think it was the table tennis team in the Olympics. USA and China would always battle it off for gold, but China just kept winning every 4 years. And so the US coach, was the same coach on both sides for 3 Olympics, I think. And the US coach was fed up and walked over to his opponent and said, I've just got to know, how do you guys do this every Olympics? And the Chinese coach said, well, it's easy. You try to fix your weaknesses. We just focus on our strengths and double down.
Love that. I love that. And that is literally exactly what I need to do for my business. And the more I try to be who I'm not, the more I try to squeeze myself as a business manager. I am not a business manager. I am never going to be, and I never will be, and I don't love it. And every time I try to be, I drown and I get cranky. And I'm Italian. There's no fun of any fiery Italian cranky person.
No. What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Managing. Yep. Managing people. So one point in my growth, I'm finding myself being a manager. And I was like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't want to be a manager. I want to be a business. I want to lead the business. I want to get ideas, and I want to do that. I want someone between me and the people, because I love the people, but I burn them. Like, I got too many ideas. I go too fast, and they just can't keep up with me.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
Look, I love business. To be honest, I would never be able to work for someone anymore. I love and I hate business because it's also very stressful, and sometimes it's like, we are again there. No, I thought the problem will finish. But I love the fact that you can help people and you can make a difference. And I love spending money. Like, I love that, like now we have the conference and we've got a AV guy, and, we're paying them $7,000 to the IV for us. Like, I love that we can all help each other out in business and collaborate. And yesterday I was talking to a coach for tradies, and she's like, I'd help tradies, scale. And I was like, I need you, because my clients that are tradies are horrible at managing the VA. I need help. So I love that in small business, you help each other out and you collaborate and you create win-win situation. I love that.
That wasn't Ange Smith from Lifestyle Trading?
No.
I'll send you their podcast. Andy and Ange, great. They've got a plumbing business. Andy started in 2000 in Sydney called Dr. Drip, built it up. They're making 50 grand a month profit. 18 months later, they were losing 50 grand a month. And then they pulled their business apart and fixed it, and it's been profitable ever since. They actually ironically flew up to Brisbane to see their mentor, and the mentor said, the business you should be in is teaching tradies how to turn their businesses around and run them properly. And so that's what they went and did, and started Lifestyle Tradie. It's a community and courses, I think, from memory. But,
yeah. Fantastic. This lady, her name is Katrina, and same, her husband was an electrician and great tradie, but not very good at doing business. And so she was like, can I help you, honey? Because you're running the business to the ground and yourself. And he was like, yes. So she gone in and she restructured the whole business, and now his business run without them, literally. And she said, now I'm too passionate about this. I want to help other traders because there is opportunity. They can, and literally at the moment we are working with a tradie to give him a VA, and we can't even meet him to give him the VA. Like, we found the VA, it's the perfect VA, and he keep canceling on us going, oh, I'm busy today, tomorrow. And then tomorrow, oh, something urgent tomorrow. And I'm like, you need a VA because you can't even get into a meeting to get a VA.
what has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
I had so many mindset shifts. I think that if people met me before this journey 15 years ago, they actually would think I'm not the same person, because I have learned so much about me And I believe that business is a 3D printout of our thoughts. And the biggest shift for me is accepting that the business is a reflection of me. And working on me has been the biggest priority for me. And this is why one of the things that I miss about my old business is that I love teaching and I love being on stage and I love, that's why I'm excited about the conference coming up next week, because I love that. But in the same time, it's hard because consistently you have to keep evolving to be able to meet the next level of the business. So I was saying the other day to someone, we need to be the most open to change, because I don't know you, but in my business, every 3 months, I have to completely change my role. First, I was a marketer. Then I had to change into solely focus on sales and do marketing. Then I had to focus on doing management while I do sales and marketing. And then now I have to, like, you keep adding to the plate. Then I had to learn finances because I didn't understand anything about finances. So then I have to become very good at that. And then all of these fall, and like just that adapting to the roles and really have to change my role every time there's something happen. I'm like, okay, I'm not doing sales right now. I'm focusing on being a CEO. Okay, I'm not a CEO now. I'm a salesperson.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Well, so adding the number one habit.
Yep.
There is one habit. I don't know if there is one habit. For me, the biggest thing is time blocking and my calendar being my boss. Because if I go, especially people like me that are idea people, I can get distracted with everything and anything. And if I don't have a time blocking on my calendar, if I don't treat my calendar as my boss, I will never get done. I wrote a book, The Power of Delegation. Actually, this is my 4th book. And every time I come up with a book, people are like, where do you find the time to write a book? The time is in the calendar. Everything I do is in my calendar, is all structured, is all put in there. And it was the hardest thing to create that as a habit, because I'm a free spirit. I love my freedom. And I used to think that having my calendar, managing my time was going to be jail. And it's the opposite. I was in jail when I was free. Now I am free because as long as I follow the calendar, I don't have to work weekends.
Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Yes. So every time, so this is what I actually was saying yesterday to one of my clients. So what happens is that when it's a business is small, you hire one person and the person does everything: marketing, social media, admin, EA, like they do everything. And then what we need to do is that we need to start to, at one point, realize what are the strengths of this person, give them only that, and hire for another role, which is the opposite of that person. So then now we got 2 departments, and then you still go to 3 departments. And so you will keep taking that one person and divide the role in multiple people until we start to have different departments. Because the biggest mistake that people do is to have one person doing all and then continue growing the business like that. And so the biggest win that we have is that we get resistance when we have to say, okay, let's split your role into 2. They're like, but I like both of them, I don't want to split. And we have to let them, go through that fear of change. But the moment that then adding one role and they're owning that, they always thrive and they love it. And they become a machine at that, and they can really grow in the career. So it's always like the resistance of the change is always there, but the win is that when they actually own a role, they love it.
What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
One of the things that we love doing is obviously meeting us all together. So once a year, they either come here or I go to the Philippines. I'm meeting the team. But this is just like once a year. But every week, what we do is that we do a meeting. We call it the team huddle. And in the team huddle, what we do is that every team member needs to share the win for the last week, the biggest challenge, the focus, and who they're grateful for. And they have to pick one person. And then you can see like everybody eyes shine when they got nominated. They're like, oh, thank you for nominating me. And then that one person that got most nomination will win a prize. And so those are the little things that we do every day to make sure that people feel appreciated, because we notice that when people don't feel appreciated, they leave the job. So we're trying to find always way for them to know that they're appreciated and valued in the business.
That's great. Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
It doesn't exist.
I think I'm going to have to delete that question.
I don't believe the balance exists, because what I believe is that when we want to grow a business, our focus needs to be there and we've got to be obsessed with it. The balance will come once you have more team members and then you'll be able to sort of get out. So for example, now I don't start working until 11. There's no way. I'm not going to come to the office until 11. So my balance is that the morning I got my morning routine. I go to the gym. I walk the dog. I do my meditation. I can do those things because I've moved my starting time at 11. I'm not a morning person. I don't love waking at 4 o'clock and do all of that. So I wake up at 7, 7:30 and do all my routine and I get to work. So that is the balance that I have managed to find. But at the beginning of a business, it doesn't exist. Once the business starts to have team members and all of that, then yes, we can find that.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
Every single dollar for the first 10 years of the business. And now is about maybe 10,000 a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great. And obviously you listen or read to a lot of books and podcasts from the sounds of it.
I listen to books every day as I walk the dog. I listen to podcasts every night when I come back home. I do believe that if I don't fill my brain with not just like positivity, but, understanding what other people are doing and understanding my mind and all of that, I'm going to get stuck.
And you've mentioned before you've got a coach. Have you had mentors as well along the way?
I've got mentors, coach for every area of my life. And I believe that very much because I believe I'm in a box and I cannot read the instruction on the outside. And I need someone to have a look at it because I can be like, I'm fine. But am I?
That's great. Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
The guy that I told you that is in a competitive business to mine, which, is literally mentoring me. He was saying, that is willing to be in my advisory board. I'm like, oh, I never had one of that. So I had mentors always, but I never had anybody in a board. No.
Yeah. So you think you're putting a advisory board together?
I am thinking that, yeah, because it actually could be a very good perspective of that. I just did one thing that I don't know. I just don't want to lose my freedom on making decisions. That's why I love to be the only business owner. But I'll have to have a look into that a little bit more. Yeah,
I've written 2 LinkedIn articles on how to put a board together, whether a formal director board where you're the ASIC director or an advisory board. And then the second article is on how to, you start with your chairperson first. So at the moment I sit on 5 boards and I chair most of those. Some of those are ASIC roles, most are advisory though, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow, send it to me. I'm curious to know more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Francesca, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Working on our mindset.
Yep. Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Buy Back Your Time.
Dan Martell.
Yes.
Great book. Yeah, great book. Have you read The E-Myth?
No.
Oh, God. I'm just going to send you that. That is like the Bible. Anyone thinking of starting, let alone growing, has to read that. Yeah. I mean, you've already got a lot of the principles that Gerber writes about in there, like a very clear role separation once you get big enough, obviously having people focus. But he also talks about 3 levels in a business: technician, manager, and entrepreneur. So I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know that part of Tony Robbins teaches that at Business Mastery.
Yes. Any great podcasts or online learning tools used for your own professional development?
I actually am looking for a great podcast at the moment. So if you, obviously I'm going to start listening to yours.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know one. This one.
So at the moment, no, I used to listen to Brooke Castillo. Do you know her?
No.
The Life Coaching School. I loved her podcast because I like to read books about business, but I like to listen podcasts on mindset. So yeah, I haven't got one at the moment.
Have you listened to any of Alex Hormozi's podcast?
No.
I highly recommend you do. I think you'll get a lot out of that one as well.
Okay, I'll write it down.
Yeah, I'll send that to you as well, plus the Offers book.
Thank you. Look at you.
Yeah. Oh, well, I do 13 hours a week of professional development, and I just really listen to audio books and podcasts, usually on 2 speed, sometimes 1.5 speed. Alex, I have to listen to on 1.5 speed, but I've just gotten back today from running the Northern meetup here in Tasmania. We do every 2 months in Launceston. We have the monthly one in Hobart every month, but so it's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive, depending on fucking the road works. But I've smashed through a book on the way up and back today.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. So
that's amazing.
Good use of dead time, as I like to say.
Yes.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
Hire a VA.
Yep, of course you're going to say that.
I'm biased, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, I totally agree with you. Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day 1 of starting out 15 years ago?
It's possible. It's possible. I had so much doubt. I did not believe I could even make $1 for myself. So it's possible, and you're going to get there. Just keep moving. Just keep going.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time today, Francesca. Really enjoyed our chat. Congratulations on the growth starting 15 years ago, about 3 years ago, changing the business to fully focus on VAs and going from 1 to now 78 full-time equivalent team members, doing about 1.5 million Australian, getting up to 1.8, 75 clients, and that's terrific growth. So congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you so much. I could have never done it without my team. So yeah, I'll tell them for sure. Thank you so much for listening to this amazing podcast. Now, if you enjoyed this, you're definitely going to love my Facebook group where I've got over 11,000 people in it, and they're all business owners successful like you. It's called the Successful Entrepreneur Lounge, and in there I do classes every week, and I get to interview my clients, and I get to teach you all the things that I've done to get my business to 100K plus a month. So I look forward to have you in there. It's called the Successful Entrepreneur Lounge Facebook group in Facebook. I look forward to see you there. Ciao.